Hi everybody. It's a great day to make dark chocolate cherry scones. This is the first time I'm using this recipe. I decided to try it because I'm hosting a tea in July and I thought I'm going to try these dark chocolate cherry scones. If they're good, I'll make them for the tea. I did buy these sweetened cherries and all I did was chop them up, and I used the Lindt dark chocolate, and there were 10 squares in here. I used 6. That's how many you needed for this. So I have all the ingredients here. I have 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour. I have 1.5 tablespoons of sugar. In this little bowl, I have a teaspoon of baking powder, a half a teaspoon of baking soda, and then a half a teaspoon of salt. Then the cherries that I have chopped up here, it's just a half a cup of dried cherries, and then a half a cup of the chocolate that I just chopped up. Okay, then we're also going to need a half a cup of buttermilk, which I have here, with a teaspoon of almond extract. All right, so we're just going to take all of these dry ingredients, the flour, the sugar, the baking powder, baking soda, salt, put them right in there. I'm going to grab a spoon, just going to mix it up a little bit. Okay, now I'm going to grab, I kept my butter in the refrigerator because it's supposed to be cold. And one of the things I started doing with any breads that I'm making is when it calls for the cold butter chopped up, I've been just using a grater. And let me just grab that. So this is 6 tablespoons of grated butter, and it's salted butter. Let's dump that in there and make sure we get all of it. All right. And then I'm just going to mix this by hand until the butter is rubbed into the flour mixture. Then we're going to just add the cherries and the chocolate, get it all mixed together. Then we're going to dump in the buttermilk and almond extract. Okay. There we go. I think that's okay. So I'm going to just dump in my cherries. I just love cherries. I also bought frozen cherries, but this recipe called for the dried cherries. And the chocolate. Yum. We're just going to mix all that together. Oh, I can smell that dark chocolate. Okay. And so far, so good with the flour not flying all over the place. All right. Now we're going to add the liquid, which is, again, a half a cup of buttermilk, a teaspoon of almond extract. Also, remember, if you have a recipe that calls for buttermilk and you don't have buttermilk, if it's a cup, you could do like a tablespoon of lemon juice or vinegar, either one. You put that in there, stir it just to mix it in, and then let it sit for about 5 minutes. And that's buttermilk for your recipe. Okay, this is starting to come together. And the recipe says just to mix it till it, like, you don't need to knead it. You're just mixing it till it all comes together. Then it says press together to form a ball, which we'll do in just a minute because it's getting there pretty quickly. Then you're going to form it into a 1/2 inch to 3/4 inch disc. We're going to cut that disc in half, form each half into 3 triangles. We're going to put it on parchment, and we're going to put that in the freezer for 1/2 hour to an hour. Then we'll take it out and put it in the oven. So once we get it in the freezer, I'll be turning you off for a little bit. Then I'll bring you back when we pull it out of the oven. That's always my favorite part. Well, I shouldn't say that. I really do just like making all this stuff. All right. I think that's good enough. Well, there's some little bit of chocolate at the bottom there. I want to make sure I get all that. Okay. Whoops. All right, here we go. Get into a ball. I still got stuff flying out around here, so I don't want to lose any of this goodness. Let's push that over there. Okay. So let's make our disc. I love scones, and now it seems like when I go into bakeries, a lot of times they have really, like, they're not just plain scones or like walnut scones or blueberry, like they're different flavors, like lemon and rosemary or dark chocolate and cherry. Okay, I think that's a little bit thick, so let me try to get this even. Ooh, the cherry and I don't know if you can see it from there. I'll show you in a minute. I'll lift it up. But the cherries and the dark chocolate look so pretty. So therapeutic for me. Bread, I don't know, baking, cooking, gardening, chickens, whatever. Okay, I hope you can see how pretty the cherries and chocolate look in this. I should have brought my measuring tape. Sometimes I'm really bad at figuring out the thickness, but okay. I'm gonna get a knife. We'll cut this in half and then in thirds. All right. And then I've got my parchment paper on my baking sheet. Put these right on there. I can't wait to see how these turn out. All right, so here's my parchment paper lined baking sheet. I'm gonna put these in the in the freezer. Like I said, 30 to 60 minutes. Then I'm gonna put them in the oven and we'll see how delicious they are. I'll be right back. Spoiler alert. There was some of that dough on my fingers and I tasted it. Oh my gosh. The dough tasted so good. Anyway, I'll be back. Okay, we're putting the scones in the oven. I'm going to check them at 10 minutes, even though it says 12 to 16 at 425. So I'll set my timer for 10. I'll check them, and we'll be back. Okay, just out of the oven. Here's how they look. And they're very hot. But I want you to see how the bottoms are nicely browned. We're gonna cool them for 10 minutes and then I'm trying one. It's time to try one of these. You can see the chocolate melting or melted. I know I always say it's delicious, but it's really delicious. So be shiny and make these. They're so yummy.